Welcome back to Superbly Said Advanced English Vocabulary and Phrases.
Glad to be back. We've got a lot to cover today.
We really do. And today's material is actually drawn directly from a fantastic SpeakDuo lesson.
Oh, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and just as a quick side note for you, if you are looking to elevate your language skills, you can go to SpeakDuo.com to meet new people from all around the world who are practicing English on video calls, just to become more confident with their speaking abilities.
It's a great tool for that.
It really is. But right now, today is entirely focused on helping advanced English learners elevate their vocabulary. We are looking at 15 incredibly powerful idiomatic phrases.
Yeah, and we aren't just going to give you, basic dictionary definitions today.
Right.
We want to break down their subtle nuances, look at the underlying mechanics of why these metaphors work, and explore exactly how you can deploy them in professional settings or like high-stakes situations.
Like an IELTS speaking test, for example.
Exactly.
Okay, let's unpack this. The absolute best place to start is with phrases that describe achieving goals, reaching those major points of elevation in a career. Because we all need the right words to talk about our professional wins. So let's look at the phrase to raise the bar. Now, my instinct here is to use this interchangeably with setting a precedent.
Oh, I see where you're going with that.
Yeah, like if someone does a really good job, they set a precedent for the team, right? Am I using that correctly?
Not exactly, actually. It's a really common point of confusion, but they operate on completely different logic.
Okay, how so?
Well, setting a precedent simply means doing something first. You establish a rule or a pattern that others might follow later. It's pretty neutral.
Right.
But raising the bar has a highly specific physical metaphor behind it. I mean, think of the sport of high jump or pole vaulting.
Literally moving the physical bar higher up the poles.
Precisely. It means you've done something so exceptionally well that everyone else now have to work significantly harder just to qualify.
Wow, okay.
You haven't just done something first. You've actively made the target harder to reach for the rest of the competition.
So it's fundamentally about quality and ambition then?
Yes, exactly.
So if I'm talking to my boss, I wouldn't say her report set a precedent. I'd say her report raised the bar for everyone in the department.
Spot on.
Or if you're sitting in an IELTS Part 2 exam and you're asked to describe a time you excelled, you could say, when I led the project last year, I raised the bar by improving quality and speed.
Right. You're telling the examiner that you didn't just participate, you elevated the standard. It immediately signals to the listener that you are a high performer.
I love that. Now, speaking of high performance, what happens when you hit a massive turning point? This brings me to a watershed moment. I always thought a watershed moment was just like a fancy academic way to say milestone.
You're definitely not alone in thinking that.
Like getting my tenure plaque at work was a watershed moment. But I'm guessing that's wrong.
Yeah, they paint very different pictures. A milestone is just a marker of progress on a straight, predictable road. You hit year 1, year 2, you hit a sales target.
You just keep going.
Right, you keep going in the exact same direction. But a watershed moment. Think of a literal ridge of land where rain falls. A drop either goes to the Atlantic or the Pacific.
Oh, wow.
It's a point of no return. It changes the entire trajectory of the flow.
So it's about a complete change in direction, not just a measurement of distance.
Exactly.
So if an examiner asks about a major life change, you shouldn't just call it a milestone. You could say, moving abroad and changing careers felt like a watershed moment for me. It completely shifted your destiny.
Yes. You can also use it in a broader industry context.
Yeah.
When smartphones were introduced, that wasn't a milestone for mobile phones. It was a watershed moment.
Right. The whole market permanently changed direction. That distinction is incredibly useful.
It really is.
Now, assuming you've raised the bar and survived your watershed moments, you're going to have a lot of work to do. Let's look at managing workloads with two phrases. To take something off one's plate and to turn something down.
Two very essential phrases.
Yeah, so taking something off a plate means removing a task to reduce workload. But why not just say, I delegated the task?
Well, it comes down to emotional intelligence.
Okay.
Delegating is often like a top-down, sterile operational process. You are assigning work. But visualizing a dinner plate overflowing with food implies someone is overwhelmed.
Oh, I see.
So taking something off someone's plate implies deep empathy. You are stepping in to rescue them from stress.
Okay, so if I say to a colleague, I took the scheduling task off her plate so she could focus on clients, I'm demonstrating teamwork and emotional awareness.
Exactly, not just administrative shuffling.
Or for an IELTS answer about dealing with pressure, you might say, I took the weekend volunteer work off my plate so I could study for my exams. You're showing active management of your own bandwidth.
Right. And contrasting our second phrase, turning down, with ignoring, is equally important.
Because ignoring is just passive.
Exactly. It happens by inaction. Turning down is an active, formal, and deliberate choice. You are at the steering wheel.
So you could say, she turned down the job offer because the role didn't match her goals, or I turned down an opportunity that required moving abroad.
It's just you have agency. You aren't just letting things happen to you.
Speaking of agency, our last phrase for this segment is to tap into something, meaning to successfully access a deep resource or emotion. Honestly, I hear this and think, why wouldn't I just say I used my skills?
Because using implies the tool is just sitting right there on your desk, readily available, there's no struggle.
Okay.
But tapping into draws from physical industries like mining or capping a maple tree for syrup. The resource is hidden deep underground. It requires intentional effort to bring it to the surface.
Oh, I see the nuance there. You have to actively mine for it. So she tapped into her creativity to finish the design on time. Or for an IELTS question about learning during the pandemic. I tapped into my cooking skills during lockdown and started making new recipes. I possessed those skills all along, but I had to dig deep to actually find them.
Exactly. It elevates your language from describing a simple action to describing a process of self-discovery.
We've talked about getting to the top of your field and hitting those watershed moments, but the reality is success isn't a straight line.
Not at all.
It introduces a lot of internal friction and complexity, which brings up an entirely different set of vocabulary.
What's fascinating here is how the English language has evolved specifically to capture these very human contradictions.
Let's start with a blessing and a curse. It means a situation bringing great advantages and severe drawbacks at the exact same time. Is this basically just another way of saying a catch-22?
No, and it's vital to know the difference. A catch-22 is a logical paradox where you simply cannot win because the rules inherently contradict each other.
Like what?
The classic example is, you need experience to get a job, but you need a job to get experience. You are just stuck.
No, right.
A blessing and a curse, however, isn't a trap. It has a distinct, genuine positive paired with a genuine negative. You absolutely get the benefit, but you have to pay a heavy price for it.
Remote work is the perfect example of this. Having flexible hours is a blessing and a curse because it blurs my daily routines.
Exactly.
Or, working remotely has been a blessing and a curse, more freedom, but it's much harder to switch off. You actually get the good, but you endure the bad. Now, how about describing a person who embodies contradictions? That brings us to contain multitudes. My mind immediately goes to wearing many hats. Are those the same?
They get conflated a lot, but they operate on different levels. Wearing many hats is entirely about the external tasks you perform.
Like doing the marketing and the accounting.
Right, you manage the social media, you do the books, you can take those hats off. Yeah. But containing multitudes, which actually comes from a famous Walt Whitman poem, is about your rich internal identity.
Oh, I like that.
It means your personality has vast, unexpected depths that might even seem to contradict each other.
So it's who you are, not just what you do. You might say of a colleague, she seems incredibly quiet, but contains multitudes of interests and hidden talents.
Exactly.
Or in an IELTS interview about your personality, I often feel I contain multitudes. I'm highly analytical and serious at work, but incredibly goofy and creative with my family.
It's a gorgeous phrase that instantly proves to the listener that you have a nuanced grasp of human complexity.
I really want to explore two phrases that rely heavily on physical biology to describe psychological states. We have on a cellular level and to shed one's self-consciousness.
Oh, these are great.
On a cellular level means affecting someone in an incredibly deep, fundamental way. But if I want to tell a story, why not just say I was deeply affected?
Because deeply affected is abstract. On a cellular level, bypasses the intellect and grounds the emotion entirely in biology. It suggests an inescapable physical resonance.
Like you feel it in your bones?
Yes. You didn't just think about it. Your very cells vibrated with the feeling.
Like getting a gut feeling or your heart racing. Hearing my grandfather's memories affected me on a cellular level. It's entirely visceral. And contrasting, shedding self-consciousness with just relaxing feels like it follows the exact same logic.
It does. Relaxing is a gradual, passive easing of tension. But shedding your self-consciousness implies a total physical removal of your awkwardness. Think of a snake losing its old restrictive skin.
Ew, but also, yeah.
Right. It's an active, transformative event.
You leave the old you behind. On stage, she shed her self-consciousness and sang with total confidence, or, at the drama workshop, I finally shed my self-consciousness and enjoyed acting freely.
Beautifully put.
Our last phrase for this segment of complexity is to take something by surprise, meaning to happen unexpectedly, leaving someone astonished. If someone jumps out from behind a door, they startle me. This is the same thing.
Not quite. Startling is a physical, momentary reaction. Your nervous system jumps. But taking by surprise is a deeper, longer-lasting state of cognitive astonishment. It means your fundamental understanding of a situation has been disrupted.
So, the Sudden Award took the whole team by surprise. Or for a question about career progression, the promotion last year took me by surprise because I hadn't expected it so soon.
Okay.
My brain had to catch up to the new reality.
Exactly.
Here's where it gets really interesting. To discover those multitudes we talked about, or to shed that self-consciousness, you inevitably have to step into the unknown. Let's steer the conversation toward phrases about pressure, risk, and trying new things. First up, on a razor's edge. This means being in a precarious, dangerous, or highly uncertain situation. If I'm trying to decide between two job offers, am I on a razor's edge?
No, in that scenario, you are just on the fence.
Oh, okay.
Being on the fence means the indecision is internal. You just haven't made a choice yet. Being on a razor's edge means the situation itself, externally, is delicately balanced between total success and catastrophic failure.
Wow.
Think about how thin a razor blade is. There is zero margin for error.
So the tension is entirely outside of my control. The project timeline was on a razor's edge until everyone coordinated perfectly.
Exactly.
Or last year, my travel plans were on a razor's edge because international flights kept changing. One tiny slip and you get cut.
Yes. And when you willingly walk up to that edge, you might be engaging in our next phrase. High risk, high reward. This means taking a massive chance that offers the potential for huge success.
But isn't that just taking a shot in the dark?
A shot in the dark is a blind guess. You have no data, no strategy, and no visibility.
Right.
High risk, high reward is a calculated, strategic gamble. You know exactly what the dangers are, you've assessed the steep cliff face, but you decide to make the climb anyway because you know the view from the top is worth the danger.
You have your eyes wide open. Starting an innovative new company is often high risk, high reward. Or leaving a steady job to start my own business was high risk, high reward.
Exactly.
Now, what about when the stakes are much lower? We have to give something a shot and to play at something. To give something a shot means attempting a new activity. To play at something means engaging in an activity carelessly without taking it seriously. They sound like the same action to me.
The physical action might look similar, but the intention is entirely different. Giving something a shot is a genuine good faith effort.
Okay.
It's low stakes, but you are sincere about trying. Playing at something carries a negative, almost judgmental connotation. It implies a lack of real commitment, or even pretense.
Oh, so it's about authenticity. For an IELTS hobby question, I could say, I gave pottery a shot last weekend and enjoyed making a small bowl, or I'd like to give rock climbing a shot just to challenge myself physically. It's genuine curiosity.
Exactly.
But if I say, he played at learning the guitar but never practiced, or I played at photography for a few months before I actually enrolled in a class to take it seriously, that implies I was just trying on the identity of a photographer without doing the actual work.
You hit the nail on the head. You were wearing the costume, but not doing the job.
That leads us perfectly to our final phrase before we test you on all of this. A wild ride. It's an experience characterized by unpredictable, exciting, or chaotic events. But if it's chaotic and throws you around, why wouldn't I just call it a disaster?
Because a disaster is entirely negative. It leaves wreckage. A wild ride might be chaotic, and you might get a little bruised, but it implies looking back with a sense of thrill, fondness, or immense personal growth.
Like a literal roller coaster.
Right. You survived it, and secretly you're glad you got on it.
So you wouldn't trade the experience. Starting a small business was a wild ride full of surprises. Or my first year at university was a wild ride. Before him, new friends, incredibly tough challenges, and lots of growth. All right, it is time to put you, the listener, in the hot seat. We are going to test your attention with an advanced English quiz covering 7 of the most powerful phrases from today's deep dive.
Good luck.
I'm going to read a question and 3 options. Option A, Option B, and Option C. Listen closely for the context. And fair warning, a few of these options describe scenarios so absurd I can barely read them with a straight face.
Let's see how well you've absorbed the subtle nuances we've been uncovering.
Question 1. Which sentence uses the idiomatic phrase to raise the bar correctly based on context? Option A. The professional construction contractor was instructed to raise the bar on the architectural foundation framework. Option B. The deeply frustrated young retail clerk aggressively managed to completely drop a white line. Option C. By delivering a flawlessly executed project ahead of schedule and under budget, the development team really raised the bar for future company initiatives. Feel free to pause the podcast here if you need to think about the answer.
The correct answer is option C. In this context, to raise the bar means to permanently increase standards. Just like our earlier example where leading a project raised the bar by improving quality and speed, the development team here set a new, significantly higher standard for everyone else to follow.
Option A took the physical bar way too literally. Okay, question 2. Select the context where the phrase, a watershed moment, is most appropriately used figuratively. Option A. The passage of the comprehensive data privacy legislation marked a watershed moment in the technology sector's regulatory history. Option B. The professional civil engineering hydrologist was instructed to measure a watershed moment during the river flow analysis.
Yeah.
Option C. The incredibly clumsy warehouse inventory clerk accidentally managed to quickly buy some large systems. Feel free to pause the podcast here if you need to think about the answer.
The answer is option A. A watershed moment is a crucial turning point that changes trajectory. Remember our example about moving cities and changing careers. Here, the new legislation changes the entire direction of the technology sector, making it a profound figurative turning point.
Question 3. In which situation does someone accurately utilize the advanced phrase, a blessing and a curse, contextually? Option A. The professional theological seminary scholar was instructed to evaluate a blessing and a curse in the ancient liturgical text. Option B. Transitioning to a fully remote operational model has been a blessing and a curse. We enjoy incredible scheduling flexibility, but professional boundaries are harder to maintain. Option C. The completely terrified young wilderness traveler unexpectedly noticed an exceptionally massive, heavy tool chest. Feel free to pause the podcast here if you need to think about the answer.
The correct choice is option B. A blessing and a curse describes a situation that contains both genuine advantages and severe drawbacks. This perfectly mirrors our earlier discussion where having flexible hours gives you freedom but blurs your daily routines.
Question 4. Which response best demonstrates the advanced phrase, on a razor's edge, figuratively? Option A. With conflicting stakeholder demands and a rigid release date, the entire product launch remained on a razor's edge until the final sign-off. Option B. The professional surgical instrument technician was instructed to handle on a razor's edge during the operating room prep. Option C. The incredibly clumsy warehouse inventory clerk accidentally managed to quickly catch that white balance. Feel free to pause the podcast here if you need to think about the answer.
Option A is correct. Being on a razor's edge means being in a highly precarious, externally dangerous situation. It connects right back to our example about travel plans being on a razor's edge because of constantly changing flights. Success and catastrophic failure are delicately balanced.
Question 5. How would a professional accurately use the phrase, to contain multitudes, contextually? Option A. The professional demographic statistics researcher was instructed to contain multitudes within the census data report. Option B. The completely confused amateur theater group unexpectedly decided to proudly paint a clean frame. Option C. Her artistic persona seemed to contain multitudes. She balanced rigorous corporate compliance work with avant-garde electronic music production. Feel free to pause the podcast here if you need to think about the answer.
The answer is option C. To contain multitudes means possessing a complex, internal, and contradictory range of traits. Just like the example of someone being highly serious at work but goofy with family, this woman is balancing corporate compliance with avant-garde music, a perfect illustration of psychological complexity. Moving right along, question 6. Which scenario perfectly illustrates the meaning of the phrase high risk, high reward, contextually? Option A. The professional extreme sports bungee jumping coordinator was instructed to check if the stunt was high risk, high reward. Option B. Venturing into an entirely untested foreign market without local partners was a classic high risk, high reward strategy that ultimately paid off. Option C. The incredibly clumsy hotel maintenance worker accidentally managed to completely drop that red tray. Feel free to pause the podcast here if you need to think about the answer.
The right answer is option B. High risk, high reward is about taking a large, calculated strategic chance for potential huge success. We talked about leaving a steady job to start a business with your eyes wide open, and entering an untested foreign market is exactly that kind of calculated gamble. And our final question, question 7, and I love option C on this one. Which sentence accurately utilizes the advanced phrase, to tap into something, contextually? Option A. During the brainstorming session, the design lead was able to tap into her extensive background in architecture to solve the spatial layout problem. Option B. The professional telecommunications network technician was instructed to tap into something at the junction box. Option C. The deeply confused young kitchen assistant accidentally managed to quickly slice a fresh piece of into. Feel free to pause the podcast here if you need to think about the answer.
Option A is the correct answer. To tap into something means to successfully access a deep, hidden resource. Just like tapping into buried cooking skills during a lockdown, the design lead actively mined her deep architectural background to solve the problem.
I think the deeply confused kitchen assistant needs a whole separate deep dive just for him. What a journey we've been on today. Mastering these advanced idioms isn't just about trying to sound smart in a board meeting or tricking an IELTS examiner into giving you a higher band score. It's about gaining the exact, precise tools needed to describe the nuance and the beautiful complexity of real life.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, consider what happens when we shed our self-consciousness and actually give these phrases a shot in our daily conversations. Does the precision of the language we use actively shape the complexity of the thoughts we are able to hold in our minds? I believe it does. By learning these phrases, you are quite literally expanding the boundaries of how you can perceive, process, and express your world.
So what does this all mean? It means your words have power. They aren't just labels, they are the lenses through which you see the world. Use them. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the nuances of language and